There seems to be a trend at the next bite going on. Number one, I probably wait a little bit too long for the last open water shoot. And number two, I lure my good buddy and Strike King Pro, Tom Kemos, to come along with me when it's pretty cold. We're a little bit further south than what we typically are though, aren't we, Tom?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He was ice fishing last week, called up good buddy Jim Schiefelbein. He fishes the Illinois River a ton. Very well-known fishery, Sauger fishery, tons of fish in here. He's been telling me how good the bite's been. So we're gonna go after some of those rifle bites, aren't we?
Let's go get them.
We're excited. You know what? A lot of fish, not going after the big walleyes like we typically do, but this is gonna be a good one. Boys, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I declare a Sauger war.
Let's go get the next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, next bite. Just looking for the next bite.
And I tell you what, the monsters are in here.
You know, this is a popular fishing area with all these lakes around here.
The next bite. The next bite.
From a commercial standpoint, the Illinois River is most widely known as the principal shipping route that connects the Great Lakes to the mighty Mississippi River.
Tom, oh, he blasted it.
Yet to anglers, the Illinois River is a fantastic waterway to explore and catch not only good-sized sauger, but in droves.
Oh, look at how dark the coloring on that thing. It's awesome.
Especially during the later fall months. Sauger are a close relative to walleye and are the most migratory subspecies in the Persidae family in North America.
I mean, look at that. It's so cool, isn't it?
That's awesome.
In short, they are angry feeding machines, sort of like a walleye with a really bad attitude.
Look how mad he is. Open your mouth. Ah, he bit me. He bit me. Like a python almost, Tom. What do you say?
Oh yeah. It's late fall on the river and we're fishing these fish that are in transition for the fall pattern and bulking up for the winter. We're in the river channel where the bait from these backwater sloughs and backwater lakes are washing out into the channel, and we're targeting these saugers that are feeding on that bait, getting ready to winter, and the fish are stacked up in this channel. We're catching them pretty good here in late November.
There he is.
Oh yeah, yep, good one, Chase.
Oh, that looks like a pretty good one, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that fish absolutely pounded. Is it a good one, Tom?
Yeah, it's a good one, Jim.
Awesome. Did he smack it?
Oh yeah, he absolutely crushed it.
There we go.
Oh man.
And the hook's out too. Yep. And I could tell it was a good bite just by the way the boat shook.
Now that's a sauger bite right there.
Well, and I could tell it had to be one where it just cracked it when you were holding it, because you pounded it. Like I felt the boat rock a little bit when you said
I think Gardner ripped the rod out of my hands, and I'll tell you what, that's what's awesome about these sauger in the fall. I mean, they absolutely are putting the feed bag on, and they're mean. Look at that thing.
Look at him flaring his gills.
Cool coloring.
It's almost like a mini T-Rex.
Oh yeah.
Nice, man.
Cool. There he goes.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. And Power Pole. Total boat control. Closed captioning for the next bite is provided by Precision Trolling Data, the authority for crankbait diving depth information. The main channel of the Illinois River rarely freezes, at least solid enough for ice fishing, due to the constant barge traffic moving to and from the Great Lakes and Mississippi River. So while this makes the river a great late-season open water destination,
It's cold water, man, and they're just
I'm going
feeding
back
machines.
I'm going back to fishing.
it doesn't mean that the water temperatures aren't extremely cold.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They fight great when in this cold water. I love them.
Yeah.
No matter how adaptive or voracious sauger can be, typically the colder the water conditions become, the more lethargic the fish tend to react, since they are cold-blooded animals.
So we've really kind of fallen into a dream scenario for vertical jigging. And the thing that you have to keep in mind is, obviously when we're talking about mid-November, the conditions, the water, everything's really cold. We've had a super cold fall. So when you look at cadence situations, you know, sometimes in vertical jigging situations, we're gonna work these jigs pretty aggressively. But simple, short little pops, short little lifts, maybe 3-5 inches at the most off the bottom, but overall a real slow cadence. And the saugers are absolutely going crazy for it. So it's like any other presentation. When it's cold, you're gonna troll crankbaits a little bit slower. But honestly, what we have here is a great situation in being that the current speeds are very simple to actually jig like this, 0.6 to 0.9 miles an hour. So it's real simple to stay straight vertical. So a slower cadence, stay as vertical as possible, and work your jigs just a little bit slower as it's colder to get these saugers to actually crush these jigs.
A good one?
Yep, net, Tom, net. Yep. Oh yeah. That's a pretty nice one right there. Right here, Tom. Yeah,
Nice fish.
that's a good one.
That is a really nice fish there.
Oh,
Chase.
did he throw? Look at that. That jig,
Looks like a good one.
that crater head jig is missing. It is gone, Tom.
That is amazing. That thing absolutely crushed it, didn't it?
Oh, just on the hold. About 3-4 inches off the bottom, and it was just whack.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Get your finger out of his mouth.
Yeah.
That's a good sign if they're going to come up and start
Yeah.
doing that now.
Look at that thing. Oh, man. That's a fun one. I mean, that is the bite that you wait for when you're vertical jigging.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the magical vertical jig, just total vacuum bite.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, they pin it a lot to the bottom, but when they crack it, when you're just holding it, it's a riot. Just healthy. Look at how healthy they are too. We're gonna get this one back. I want another one of those bites.
Yep.
There you go, buddy. Oh yeah.
Total Control, presented by Power Pole. 20 years of trust evolved from Total Boat Control.
We all know that the Berkley flicker shad and the flicker minnow are great summertime walleye lures. They have a perfect rattle in them and a great action that triggers a lot of walleye bites. One thing I like to do with these crankbaits is to actually slow them down early on and late in the season. So I'm gonna go through the progression of baits for you. This is the Berkley flicker minnow. Has a nice subtle action, a subtle roll, and a little bit of side to side action. This bait is great for big walleyes throughout the year. The next one up is a classic Berkley flicker shad. This thing's probably won more money on walleye tour events than any other crankbait combined. Has a loud rattle and just the perfect amount of side to side action with a little bit of roll. A step up from there is the new jointed flicker shad. Now this has the same type of rattle, same action, but it has a jointed tail which adds a little bit more noise. One step up from there is a bass bait. This is the Berkley Digger. This is an aggressive bait, has a ton of vibration, a low rattle that's really loud, and it can trigger strikes too. The trick to these, to get your money's worth though, is to really slow them down. So I like to use all these baits early and late in the season and just slow my trolling speed down, even all the way down to 1 mile an hour. Now all these baits that are great during the peak of summer can also be tools for you in cold water. So next time you're trolling a Berkley bait that's your favorite summertime lure, don't forget to try slowing it down late in the season and you can catch fish right up to ice up.
Artificial baits are especially effective in situations where you need durability on your side.
There's one. You got one? Oh, that looks pretty good, man.
He came up pretty fast.
Whether that's gnarly structure or simply sheer numbers of bites.
Grab the net. This one's gonna be a pretty good one, I think. Oh yeah, Jim.
Yep.
Decent one there for sure.
Nice net job.
The available variety in their actions and colors have exploded in the last few years, and less time rebaiting minnows or other live bait is more time potentially catching fish.
Yeah, that's a nice fish. I mean, they come up and they even look mean when they get to the surface.
They're just aggressive.
Yeah.
They immediately flare their gill plates like they want to bite you.
I know.
However, there isn't anything wrong with tacking on a little snack to grease the wheels a bit more, like in certain situations, such as when colder water temperatures are starting to slow the fish down.
When I'm jig fishing in the fall, I like to tip my jigs with minnows. It feels like we get a lot more strikes when you put a minnow on the end of a jig in the fall. Fish are a little more lethargic and slow moving, and that extra minnow on the jig lets us get more bites, versus in the spring be more aggressive with our jigging technique. But in the fall, the minnow really makes a big difference to trigger more bites.
This feels like a decent one. Yeah, this feels like a good one.
Oh yeah, Tom.
Ready? It's a nice
Oh
one.
yeah, it is.
Here he comes. There we go. Oh, that fish absolutely cracked it
You
again.
can tell just by how he's hooked that he just pounded it.
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable how much these fish are starting to just light up with the sun coming up like this.
Well, and you think about it, it's not just for sauger fishing, but all the different places we vertical jig. I mean, running a piggyback setup with a fat head on top with some type of artificials works so well in so many places. It's just a riot.
Oh, it's the perfect river setup, especially in the fall, because you've got that, you've got that bulk, and then you've also got the added action and naturalness of the minnow. And when the water's this cold, these fish don't want to have to work real hard for it.
Yeah.
So just having that bulk moving down there with that tail going, it's a deadly combo for fall fish. That's
Except
for
for
sure.
when they snipe all your fat heads and you got to rebait.
That is true. Let's get this one back. Today we're using the new Strike King Crater Head jig. This is a perfect jig for river type scenarios like we're dealing with today. The Illinois River, it's fall, the water's cool, we're fishing for saugers. What's very unique about this jig head though is that it has a semi-stand-up bottom on it, but it also has this concave shape on the bottom, which is why we call it the crater head. And what that does is that allows that jig to stand perfectly on the bottom. So in a sauger type bite, especially as the water gets cooler like it is now, what's awesome about this jig is it stands hook up every time. So when those saugers come in to bite, they're going right at that hook right away and you get great hookups. A lot of times they'll pin the bait to the bottom also, and this jig provides great hookups. Today we're using the 3/8 ounce jig, which is the perfect size when you're fishing depths, say from 15 to 20 plus foot of water. With this type of current, we're right around 0.8 to 1 mile an hour. I like that 3/8 size.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. Lowrance. Find, navigate, dominate. Precision trolling data. The authority in diving depth info. Strike King. A legacy of domination for 50 years. And Power Pole. Total boat control. Topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
This is Mercury's new Vessel View mobile phone app. When you get the system itself, it comes with a module that you attach to your engine. All you do is plug in a port and zip tie it to the engine itself. It takes about 5 minutes. And then download the app itself from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. And essentially open it up, and you get all kinds of information with this app. It'll tell you things like when you should maintain your engine. You can set it up to your boat to the exact amount of gas you have in. So when you fill it with gas and you check it out, it'll tell you how much gas it has in. Records things like top speed. If you want to share that on social media, it even allows you to do that. There's all kinds of features. But one of the features that I really like, let's say you're going out boating for the weekend with your family. You're really looking forward to this trip. But on your first day on the water, your engine starts beeping. Something's wrong with it. Now, we'd all like to think that would never happen, right? But reality is such that that could occur. And now you're looking at all this time that you spent looking forward to your weekend and your engine is beeping. What do? Well, you can go right into your phone app, into VesselView Mobile, and you can hit this button called Faults. And then if you hit Observed Faults, it'll come up with the fault itself. Now you can see I've got like 103 hours on this engine. Another thing VesselView Mobile tells you, I've not had any faults. So the engine has been running flawlessly for me all year long. But if something would come up, it would show up right here. It would show up on the screen. And then it'll tell you about the fault. It'll say what's wrong. It can tell you sometimes if it's easy to fix. You might not understand what it tells you. So let's go into the app, and under the accounts and privacy part, there is a subject or a heading line called Preferred Dealer. Now I set up as my preferred dealer, Sportamotive in Appleton. I like that dealership. They always help me out. They're super informative. And then on the bottom of this part, it says share vessel data and contact me, and I turned that on. I said yes. So if I'm on the water, let's go back to that same situation, and my engine's beeping and I don't know what's going on. I hit my phone button here, it'll call the dealership up on your cell phone, and you can talk with the mechanic there, and they can actually read the information on your phone, and maybe it's something simple that you can fix right there out on the water, and he can walk you right through it. Maybe it's something that's fairly simple that could be fixed right in that area and not ruin your whole weekend. Or maybe it is something major that needs more attention. But they can help you out. Now, to me, that's quite the service. In the world where people always complain about customer service, to me this is the ultimate in customer service. And in the technological world of phones today, I don't think it could get much easier.
Saugers in general do not grow to be as large as walleyes. In fact, there are few places where they can be caught over the 20-inch mark. Although we've explored a few of these in other adventures, there is something to be said about a very active, high numbers, very late open water season bite.
Oh, he might be a little bigger.
Yeah, he is.
Particularly when the current speed favors vertical jigging so well, such as that which can be found in the main channel of the Illinois River.
There he is, Chase.
Oh, that one looks good.
Oh, actually, this is a really good one.
I got the net.
It's a really good one, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that thing. I think it's a largemouth.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh, she just came out. Holy
Look at
cow.
that thing.
That is a nice fish.
It is.
What a fish. This
That's
is
a
what
stud.
This is what you come to the Illinois River for right here. I mean, look at the gut on that thing.
It's crazy.
And these fish, I mean, it's just every single one. It's like you can't believe how hard those fish hit that jig. It's crazy. But look at them. This fish is ice cold. I mean, look how chunky that fish is. I'll tell you what, these Illinois River saugers, that bite never gets old. Let's get this one back.
Nice work, Thomas. So vertical jigging like we're doing here on the Illinois River today is one of those techniques that I still like to use a shorter spinning rod. Now take this into account. I'm also not that tall, but in a situation like this, I like to use something that's actually like 6'3", 6'4". This is a Cabela's Prodigy 6'3" medium extra fast. And the thing that you'll notice about this rod is how much backbone it has, but how quick the tip is as well. And that's really important that when these saugers bite, and sometimes they attack it, sometimes they just kind of, you can almost just feel them pick it up, but you're able to feel it and get the hooks driven into the roof of that fish's mouth as quickly as possible. Obviously you want to couple that in vertical jigging situations with a super line, something in 6-8 pound test, just to give you even more feel. So something nice and light that you can handle all day long, something a little bit shorter than in casting presentations, but with a nice quick tip for vertical jigging. And I'll tell you what, as you're moving down the river, these saugers might attack it and surprise you. Tom, pretty good one here.
Oh yeah.
Good one? Yep.
Good one, Chase?
Oh yeah, this is a nice one right here. Yeah, he's a nice one. He's a nice one.
That is a really
he's a
nice one.
Look at how fat that thing is.
Oh man.
I mean, this has been a riot. It's incredible. I mean, a lot of people don't think you can get excited about fish that, you know, aren't 25 inches and stuff, but these things are so much fun.
Yeah, that's a great bite. I don't care who you are.
Look at that thing. We're gonna get this one back. Oh, it's fun. Been a riot down here. There he goes. Actually, maybe should have had you get the net.
That was a little reckless, Chase.
Yeah, I'd say. Oh. He just spiked me too. Look at him.
I just got one while I was taking a leak.
Would you stop spraying hairspray? Stop it.
Yeah, Tom. Yep. Yeah. Yes! Look at that thing. Little baby. Little baby Sauger. Sorry, Chase, we caught one of yours.
Unbelievable.
Today we were using the Strike King Crater Head jig. This jig is, here we go. Hey, could you clap for me once?
You catch a 19-inch, I'll clap for you, Tom.
Sorry. Keep going. Just had a bite.
Really?
I wasn't paying attention. Almost ripped it out of my hand.
I'm going to show you a really cool new feature that Mercury has. Let's try it again. Comes let's go ahead and start this over. Basically comes with
Just got robbed. Should have brought that other bag of minnows.
We might have to bump him for bragging rights.
It's crazy. You want to unhook that for me, Tom? There you go.